This is the North Star Sports Show with ET&B.
Welcome to the North Star Sports Show with ET&B. I'm the B part of this podcast.
And I'm the ET part.
And we're going a little backwards.
Yeah, we'll go a little backwards today. We'll talk about the Super Bowl, kind of what happened in there. We weren't able to do our Super Bowl Live special, which is unfortunate, but busy schedules get in the way sometimes. But I'll go over that. We'll recap the Super Bowl, and then I think we'll kind of touch on some other things. There's kind of some news going around the NFL now with some signings, some guys who want to be traded all of a sudden. And then we do have some interesting stats to talk about from the Super Bowl.
Some very Viking interesting kind of stats. Because it all just looked like the Vikings.
Oh, man, it did.
All bad.
So let's start off. Of course, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers basically at home. They were in their home stadium, and they wore white, and the Chiefs were away. They wore red. Now, I read something that the NFL made them so as not to have home field advantage. They could only fire their cannons in pregame. They couldn't do it during the game, so as to help with home field advantage. Yeah.
That's like part of the whole thing. It's like their whole spiel.
I know, but
I think it would have been cool to see the cannons go off.
I get it, because I think if the Vikings were to, back in 2017, I think they would have made it like, okay, you can't, because what do we have?
We just have fireworks.
Yeah, so I guess
that's normal.
I thought we blew the Galler horn every time a touchdown got scored.
We might. I know we blow it sometimes.
Yeah, so maybe they would have been like, you can only blow it pregame, before kickoff. So I think it would have been, I think if any team in the NFL gets that, they're going to do something like that to be like, oh, it can't get home field advantage.
It's kind of dumb. I would take the home. I mean, if you can make it to the Super Bowl and it happens to be in your own stadium, you're the home team. Take the home team advantage.
I mean, I get it. I get both sides of it, because it's like, because if the Vikings were in the Super Bowl, and let's just say it's in Las Vegas against the Raiders, and the Raiders are there, and they do something special, I mean, I would be like, okay, yeah, they shouldn't be able to do that. You got to make it even. But at the same time, if it were the Vikings, I'd be like, no, we have to be allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly. When it's against your team, no.
Right.
But when it's for your team, yeah,
exactly.
we're going to do that.
Exactly, yeah. So I think it's kind of here and there, but the game started off pretty quick. Tampa Bay went 3-0. Then the Chiefs had the ball. They went 3-0 as well. And it looked like it was going to be a defensive game. It looked like it was going to be back and forth. Neither team maybe going to get going here fast, because after that, I don't think Tampa Bay had another great drive. I think actually they gotten first down, and I think they actually had to punt again.
Yeah, no, I think that's about what happened.
Yeah, because both
trying
teams,
to remember it was
yeah, I think both teams had to punt there twice to be in the first quarter.
Which is, the Chiefs had a ridiculous stat of like not punting. I think they punted once, and I forget how long the time period is. It's like, it turned out awkward the first punt. It's like, why does it happen often? I wonder. That shouldn't happen very much, right?
Right, exactly. But yeah, Tampa Bay would score first, and I mean, who else but Gronk was actually going to score that touchdown? I mean, in all honesty, it's the Super Bowl. It's Brady. It's Gronk. Who's going to score that touchdown? I mean,
obviously Brady's legs. He's going to run one in. I'm kidding, but Gronk, of course, he. Like the stat I told you, he has almost double what Kelsey has for touchdowns, and it's for that reason. Brady just finds him in the end zone and he'll make the catch. And that one was a screen, or if I remember, it was a tight end screen in the end zone, and he's this big man. You tackle him at the 5-yard line, he's still falling in the end zone.
Right. And, to go back to your point real quick, Kelsey and Gronk are either the same age or they're only a couple months apart, something like that. And just looking at Gronk's stats, he's got over 1,000 yards more than Kelsey, almost like you said, double the touchdowns, and it's like, but Gronk got in the league 2 years earlier, or 3, something like that.
It's something like that. I forget. It was a lot of years ago.
But Kelsey does have a really impressive stat. He's got, 5 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards receiving, so he's got that going for him.
He kind of built up into it, and now he's got Mahomes, and that's only going to pad the stats.
Exactly.
I mean,
he'll probably wind up being the leading tight end in all of the NFL by the time his career is done. Because I would guess, since him and Hill are his favorite targets, and Kelsey's like George Kittle, he loves Mahomes. So I think he'll do anything he can to stay with him as long as he can.
I mean, if you were a receiver or a tight end in the NFL and you liked where you were, I don't know why you wouldn't take pay cuts.
Right.
Yeah, it sucks. People are getting more money, but you're winning and you're playing with people you like.
Exactly. But sometimes money talks a little bit more. But as we've seen with Diggs. Anyways, yeah. So Gronk scored the first one, and he was wide open. I mean, wide open. There was nobody around him for like 3 yards. It's just a wide open little pocket. He got in, and Gronk spiked it, and they were up and. And I was like, all right, here we go. Chiefs are going to come down, and they're going to score. That's kind of what they've done all year. They answer back and forth. Not the case.
No, and I believe in the first half, the pass rush wasn't as vicious as it got to be. Because by the end of the game, it was a one-man army out there.
Ugly. It was ugly. But no, yeah, it wasn't as bad in the first half. I think towards the second quarter, it definitely started to pick up for the Bucs. But the first quarter wasn't even close to as bad.
And I know I asked you before the Super Bowl, how do you guard Kansas City, because they have over the top, they always have over the middle, and they always have a guy that can sit and run like slant routes in the underneath. And well, how do you guard it? Well, I mean, you kind of saw it.
Yeah.
You play 4 DBs on those 2 guys and hope everyone else can cover.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of like what we said. I forgot who we were talking about. We were talking about a team. And we said, okay, you just have to man up. It might have actually been the Buccaneers who we were just telling, hey, all right, we're going to double these guys, and the rest of you have to just man up. You're just going to have to play man coverage. And they did pretty well.
Yeah, and, I mean, like we said, when you have 2 on Hill, 2 on Kelsey for a majority of the plays, you need other people to get open. And, I mean, they did. I mean, there's people open, and I'm not going to say there wasn't people open, because one-on-one there's always... Someone's going to be open at some point, and you have all the checkdowns. But it looked like it kind of caught him off guard that they were going to commit that much just to those 2 players. Yeah. And I mean, it would catch me off guard too.
Oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure that was their game plan, to kind of feed their offense through those 2 guys. They did run for over 100 yards, but I think Mahomes had like over 30 yards, and that was just like in the first quarter. He to put it in perspective, he ran for almost every first down in the first quarter for the Chiefs that they had.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Oh, my God. He put a lot of miles on that day.
He really did. We'll get into a stat kind of talking about that in just a little bit. But, yeah, so Tampa Bay was up, and they scored again. I think Antonio Brown scored the next touchdown there before Gronk did. Or was it Gronk then Antonio?
I think it was Gronk.
I think you might be right.
Because it was Gronk before half, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so Gronk before halftime yet again, and that was just awful. You showed me a picture, just no one around him for what seemingly miles, and he was just walking into the end zone.
Yeah, it was. He walks in, he catches it. It's somebody. There's someone out there that's supposed to cover him, and nobody.
No one was there, and it was it was bad. Now the Bucs, I mean, they covered pretty well. Brady only threw for like 201 in that game. And, I mean, granted, they did rush for well over 100 yards between Fournette and Jones and all the running backs that they have to their arsenal. But they just... Another thing, too, that kind of fed into the game was the fact that some of the penalties called on Kansas City were really iffy.
Yeah, they were strongly iffy. I mean, being that we play Green Bay, right? We see these terrible penalties, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
He's wearing number 12. All right, give him the first down, whatever. And I mean, it's hard to beat when they seem like they're going against you. It's hard to beat it. I mean, there's a couple of them that were blatant. Just don't give them more penalties than you need to, like the offsides when they're going to kick a field goal.
Yes.
You can't give them the free ones if they're going to tag you for every other little knick-knack.
No, because, like you mentioned, that offsides led them to go, and then they drove, and then it was another 4th down play, and they got a flag on Tyrann Mathieu for holding in the end zone. That one was kind of either or for me. I would have liked to have seen it a no call, but at the same time, I was like, I can see why they called it. But then Brown scores, and they're up, and it's not looking good. But, I mean, now, right before half, Mathieu gets that call of unsportsmanlike conduct on Brady. Now, we talked about this, and I'm sure many people will agree.
Oh, a lot of people.
That all Tyrann Mathieu did was kind of point at Brady and shake his finger at him, almost as if to say, next time, I'm going to get you next time on that. and there's a flag thrown, halfway into that. Flag is thrown, Matthew walks away, Tom Brady walks after Matthew. It's not like he's saying, oh, yeah, they're bumping shoulders, laughing about it. No, Brady's almost like going after Matthew about it. No flag on Brady, but on Matthew, and it's a 15-yard personal foul. Granted, it's on the kickoff, so not a huge deal.
And it was, 10 seconds before half.
Yeah.
Luckily, it didn't actually have main importance in the game.
Right, but at the same time, yeah, I think it might have. Especially on the psyche of the defense.
I could see it. If
Especially
they're
on Matthew himself.
Matthew, because he got knick-knacked a lot, and what sucks, and it makes you kind of, you're really iffy to go after people, but luckily that one didn't have a lot of lot of leeway on the game. You kick it out the back of the end zone, you're going to take a knee anyway with 10 seconds left. Unless you want to throw a Hail Mary. Mahomes could. He has the arm for it.
Yeah, and I was a little bit upset at the end of the half when they didn't do that. I was surprised they didn't because I was so sure they had 10 seconds left, like you mentioned. I was talking with some other people. You got Kelsey and Hill. One of them's bound to at least just knock it away from trouble. There was not one shot down the field in that first half runs a 4.29.
I don't think he had time to throw it really down the field.
Well,
other than a defender,
I think he did in the first half. The second half is when it got really bad.
I could see it in some of the spots where
because I think, I was talking with some other people. They were super conservative. Just too conservative. There was not one shot down the field in that first half for the Chiefs.
Well, I don't think he had time to throw it really down the field.
Well, I think, he did in the first half. The second half is when it got really bad.
I could see it in some of the spots where he could have taken a shot down the field, and maybe that was the growing pain of they're actually committing that whole side of the defense to our deep threats, and they're trying to shift into have other people run deep routes and over the middle, but and then by that point, when you're trying to have that guy do that and you have the D-line coming free, it just gets rough.
Yeah, so it was rough for them. But so at halftime, the Chiefs trailed. The only thing they did was kick a couple field goals there in the first half, and no, they kicked one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just one.
Yeah, so they were trailing 21-3. It did not look good.
No, it didn't. But you always have, I don't know, you get that feeling where it's like no matter how many points they're down, there's always a chance.
Yeah, especially with Mahomes.
Yeah, what was it, Sanford? Or no, it was the Texans they were down by 24 points.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like, well, you've done it before. You're capable. You have the talent to do it.
Yep.
You almost expect them to do it.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, that pressure in the second half, it heated up. Now, the Buccaneers only had like 3.5 sacks, but the pressure they put on him was just stupid. The stat that he ran for an amazing stat.
He ran for, before passes and sacks, he ran for 497 yards. He put up more than a normal team's offense running away from the pass rush.
That's ridiculous.
And that's not counting forward running, I don't believe, for running for first downs or anything. That's before the line of scrimmage running around.
Wow.
And that just... You gotta have help.
Yeah, you do, because there's a picture you sent me of the Chiefs O-line. You got two of them blocking each other, and Mahomes is starting to run for his life. It's like, I wonder why they couldn't do anything.
And coming in, you thought about the tackle or his foot injury, how much that's going to play a factor into it. No, the tackle's infinitely more of an issue here.
Oh yeah.
That was all rough.
It was not his Mahomes' issue because. There were like three throws where he spun around twice off of his back foot, falling backwards at like a 30-degree angle, still gets it off, and it's a bullet line drive. And
hits him in the head.
Yeah. And then he spins around, he's falling, he's literally parallel to the ground, throws it sidearm, hits him in the face mask. It's like, okay, it's not on him anymore. It's on the O-line and his receivers.
He was making inhuman passes. I don't think I've ever seen or ever will see someone throw the ball at such an awful angle. Just being piled on, and you're like, I'm going to whip this 30 yards into the end zone. Oh, and you hit him in the head.
Yeah.
What?
It was like watching it. It was like, there's no way. He said, he got it. What? That was it was accurate. What? How? He's just, like you said, inhuman.
2 of them were back-to-back, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like
Man, he must have been so tired after the game. I wouldn't have wanted to look at anyone that were a number over 50.
Right. That poor man was running for his life that entire game.
Oh.
But yeah, unfortunately, now their offensive line got a pass blocking grade of 42.2. Just to give you a little inside, we're Vikings fans. We feel his pain.
We know the bad O-line issues.
Yes. We had that happen to us where we scored under a 42.2 3 times.
So all the running that Mahomes did and all that is what we dealt with 3 different times. So we get it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, then Brady just kind of took control of the game. He kind of pushed his team to the win. Honestly, their offense, it just got rolling and it couldn't be stopped.
No, and like you said earlier, the psyche of the defense, you don't want to get too physical with them if they're already throwing flags for knick-knacky stuff.
Because quickly, I think they had a Super Bowl record for first-half penalties. I think they had 8 for 95 or 8 for 105, something like that.
It is something like that. And like you said, it wears on. It's like, well, if I can't touch him, what are we going to do? And you try to guard someone without jamming them or anything like that. And especially if you're playing man, it doesn't work.
No. Yeah, because like you said, you don't want to get that penalty, so you're playing off a little bit to give them space so you're not getting a penalty. But it was just it was rough go for both sides of the ball for the Chiefs. They tried late in the second half, and it just, even then when they looked like they got something going, you could just tell it was like it's just not there. That special spark, that magical thing, just isn't there for the Chiefs today.
It was all in Mahomes, and he was trying. And as a coach, you see the pass rush, and you see your tackles struggling so much. Mm-hmm. I know you love to use Kelsey in the passing game.
Right.
You want to, he's your main tight end, you're one of your biggest threats. But
and I think I know where you're going with this.
You got to leave him in the block. Yeah,
because I said that many times during that game. I said, why are they having the running back there and then putting him out in a check down spot? Why not keep him in there, and at least he's the last resort?
Yeah, and even if it's a one of those, I forget what they call them, they come up, they block, and then they peel out.
Yeah.
Give Mahomes a short option and help.
Right.
Because, I mean, most of the time they're sitting there getting pressure with 4 or 5 people. Mm-hmm. Even if Kelsey could help alleviate one person, that gives Mahomes just that second longer.
Right.
Look for Hill, look for Watkins, look for another receiver down the field.
And to kind of go on that, they tried a couple of sweeps and reverses. That Bucs defense, they just use those corner blitzes and safety blitzes so well. And honestly, to kind of go back to the purple, it looked like they took a page out of the Vikings playbook, sending those corners and safeties down, and they're right there to get the edge. They tackled so well and they blitzed so well. It was incredible to watch, because usually when the Chiefs use that reverse or that jet sweep with Mecole Hardman or Hill, usually it pops for 20-plus yards. I think they maybe got a yard.
I mean, we played Kansas City this year, didn't we? Or
last year.
That's what I'm thinking of. And they do. When they use it, it goes. And it's because both those players are so fast, they can hit that corner and just go with it. But I don't know, it's almost like they knew what was coming.
Right.
And they sent the blitz on the right time. And although, I mean, they were pretty much all just standing near the line of scrimmage just to get its tackle at that point.
And that's another thing. It seemed like every time they blitzed, although it seemed like every play, it was always called at the perfect time. So give credit to the coaching staff for the Bucs. I mean, when you're on, you're on.
They were just having a good night at the casino is what they were having.
They really were.
They were everything was coming up sevens for them.
Oh, yeah. Then to finish out the scoring, Fournette got a touchdown, and they kicked another field goal. So the final score, 31-9 in that game. Tom Brady gets his 7th Super Bowl ring in 10 appearances. That gives him a 70%. A 70%.
Yeah, 70% Super Bowl win
Super
chance.
Bowl, yeah. I was trying to say something. I knew what it was, but I couldn't figure it out. But the Gophers were in that game as well. Not maybe
on
not,
both sides, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. Maybe not the Gopher team, but some former Minnesota Gopher players were there. Damian Wilson for the Kansas City Chiefs. He played linebacker. He played all right. I think he got like 5 or 6 tackles. They were obviously after almost first down every time, but
hey. He's there, and we're not.
Exactly. But then the other 2 who were just drafted this year, one has played his entire career in Minnesota except for this year, and that's Tyler Johnson. He didn't get too much playing time. I don't think did he even see a pass come his way?
He did. It hit him right in the shoulder.
No!
It looked kind of weird. It looked like Brady was maybe throwing to someone else, and they missed it. It pegged him by surprise, but it hit him right in the shoulder. It was rough.
That's unfortunate.
And then Romo called him out on it, too.
Oh, no.
Just rub it right in there.
Oh, dang. Well, he got the final laugh because they won the Super Bowl. He's got a ring. Tony Romo does not. Although, that's no shade at Romo because I love Romo. I love his play calling.
Oh, yeah, no, his play calling, his play-by-play is so good. I enjoy it so much more than most of the other people.
Oh, yeah, I love that those two were the duel for the Super Bowl. I wish they could be every year, honestly. But, and then there was Antoine Winfield Jr. He had a couple tackles, and then he had a pick in the Super Bowl.
A rare pick.
Yeah.
And
because his was tipped.
Yeah, it was tipped, and then I think it was a diving catch, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a good diving catch, and he gained, only like 5 yards on the run after, but he did the roll the boat.
Yeah, they got in the end zone and rolled the boat.
Got all his defensive friends to do the roll the boat, which is cool.
Yeah.
Again, another Minnesota thing that we may not see ever.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know, I enjoyed seeing the Minnesota boys. One of them do something.
Right, at least one of them did something, but they were both there, and they both get rings, so.
Oh, yeah. And there's an amazing picture of him and his dad. He, lifting his dad up, hugging him after the Super Bowl.
Awesome. That's awesome. Talk about two Winfields who you just can't help but love, especially for Minnesota fans. We had Antoine Winfield Sr. play for the Vikings for the last half of his career, and man, he was so good. And then Winfield, he's already started off his career just as good. I mean, wow. But so a Super Bowl victory for the Bucs in their home stadium, 31-9 rather. And the Bucs, now Arians has that Super Bowl he was trying to get, and I think it was funny because Brady was asked right at the end of the Super Bowl, so you coming back? Oh yeah, there's no thought of retiring. It's like, oh dang.
I heard someone say that he thinks he'll be even better next year, so maybe we can see a little ease up on the refs. I don't know, their job was pretty difficult.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I mean, he's got all the quarterback records, mainly every postseason and Super Bowl record. So it's like, I thought he would retire just because he's pretty much accomplished everything. But I'm thinking what he wants to do is go till he physically can't, and because he wants his records never to be broken.
Like you said, it sounds ridiculous, he's only 20,000 yards away from 100,000 passing yards.
And like you said, that's only 5 4,000-yard seasons, and he's had plenty of those in his career, he's got the weapons to do it.
He could do it really quick if he wanted to.
Man.
I don't want that.
No.
I hope he's joking, and he's like, oh, no, I'm going to take my kids and go right off into the sunset with this 20 pounds of gold rings I have.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but the way it seems, he's going to be around for 3-4 more years, so.
God.
More. I guess there's bound to be one more Super Bowl win for him.
Nope.
There's bound to be.
Nope.
Because, I mean, what is it? 7 out of the last how many Super Bowls? 10 out of the last how many he's been in. He's won 7, so, like you said, he has more probability of winning, not just winning the Super Bowl than some NBA players do of making a 3-pointer. Winning the biggest game in football, making a 3-pointer in a game. I mean, think of it what you want, but
it's
that's
dumb
ridiculous.
percentage. It's really dumb percentages.
It should be like 2-3%. No, it's like 35%, and that's to win the Super Bowl.
I think the actual number is like 37.6.
Well, once in a lifetime. So they say that a lot about him, but it's true. Mahomes, yeah, he's good, but is he going to have that longevity? Because will they be able to hold an offensive line because of his cap space he takes up? Who knows?
I mean, if there's a player in the NFL right now to compete with it, it's Mahomes. Mm-hmm. It's just trying to keep the team around him.
He's only been in the league 1 year. He was the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I would say even Justin Herbert, too.
Herbert, yeah, we can see how he looks in the second season when he actually has a coach and a team to build around him of the full offseason with OTAs and practices and scrimmages and everything. Because this whole year, no one had that. By the end of the year, it didn't really matter. But the early part of the year, especially for the rookies, it mattered.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see how he comes out. But
Can you imagine Winfield Jr. next year after full OTs in practice? Oh, my goodness.
I wanted him, okay? I wanted him.
I think every single Vikings fan did, and that's unfortunate. Now we'll probably never see him, but hey, he's got a Super Bowl ring. I'm happy for him. So we'll switch gears a little bit and go kind of towards some NFL signings, some rumors going around, some people who want to be traded. And we'll start that off with Taylor Heineke. He was the Washington football team's quarterback for that playoff game against the Bucs, who Washington almost beat. They had a chance, but Bucs pulled it off in the end at home. They got the victory. But Taylor Heineke has signed a 2-year deal worth $8.75 million. So it's the way the article was put. It sounded like they made this contract offer to him and he accepted it because they want him there to be the quarterback or to at least compete hard for that starting job.
Because doesn't it have like incentives if he starts 6 to 8 games?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't put that in there unless you think he's going to. And I think it'll be a good quarterback battle between Smith and him.
Yeah, I feel like Smith could be cut just because to maybe make way for Heineke or someone else they bring in. And then I could, unfortunately, I don't want him to. I hope he could start. But you can kind of see a decline in his play from, obviously, him being his normal self with his leg. But he was still a pretty tough quarterback. But I could see him getting cut and signing with the team to be a straight backup. I would hate it. I wanted to be the starter somewhere. But that's the way the league is right now. I mean, hopefully he stays there.
Hopefully he does. And, between both of them, I think I would want Smith to get the starting job just a little bit more than Heineke. But...
Well, we had Heineke on the Vikings on the during the preseason and on the practice squad for a while, and I think I said it year in and year out while we had him. I said we need to keep him as the number 2 guy. He's so good. He's such a good playmaker. Him and Sloter.
I miss Sloter, but we had them right.
Mm-hmm.
We knew what we had. Well, apparently we didn't know what we had in them. But we look at all the bad quarterbacks we had with them.
Right.
You telling me he couldn't have done any better? Maybe, I don't know. But I think he could have been starting instead of a few people.
He really could have, but now he's with the Washington football team, and hopefully he gets a starting job there, or at least competes for it between him and Alex Smith. Then, kind of some big trade talk, or someone who wants to be traded. Orlando Brown, the Ravens' technical right tackle, but he played left tackle almost the entire year in place of the injured Ronnie Stanley, I apologize. He said he wants to be traded because the Ravens don't want him at left tackle. Obviously, they want Stanley, who they paid big money to. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to play right tackle. He wants to go somewhere where he wants to be a left tackle, and he said that's all he's going to do. He doesn't want to go somewhere where he's just going to be an O-lineman. He wants to be a left tackle. And he looked like one of the better ones to me this year.
Well, if that's his natural position and he feels better being a left tackle than a right tackle, I would want to be that. Right. I want to be the position I feel most comfortable in. And
because I think the thing with him coming into the NFL was he lacked the strength and the speed to get those edge rushers on the blind side of a quarterback. But I think he proved last year he's plenty capable.
Yeah, and you give any lineman a year, they will get bigger, stronger, and faster.
Yeah, and he's had now 3 or 4, something like that.
So I would say the peak for a lineman is about 2-3 years after they get in the system. Mm-hmm. And not that they weren't working out and conditioning everything in college,
right.
But now it's the NFL, and now you have a dedicated squad of people to make sure you are doing what you do. And so I think it gives it, or any kind of rookie, you give them 2-3 years because they need to develop. They get used to the speed of the game.
Yeah.
And it's with him, he's gotten better, knocked off all his the knocks on him, and now he wants that position. He wants what he thinks is the position for him.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, because I when I've seen this, I said I messaged it to you right away. I said the Vikings need to go all in on this trade. We need to get him, but the Ravens said they do value him and they want some decent compensation for him. So I'm assuming that's going to be a first-round pick, probably a third or fourth-round pick, next year's pick, and a player, I'm guessing. In all honesty, the Vikings could do it because then we wouldn't have to draft anybody in the first round. Because what we could do, because I don't know, we're at the 14th spot, and I feel like we could trade back anyways. We could trade the first-round pick to them along with, because we have 3 thirds, so we trade one of the thirds, and then, I don't know, just throwing it out there, Barr to them for Staley and a second and a fourth.
I mean, it could. I mean, that's all Upper's job to figure that one
Right.
out. But, I mean, you could, I would think, there's players you could ship, like Barr, Rudolph.
But they do have Andrews. But they like to use multiple tight ends in their system.
They do. They like blocking.
Yeah,
They use
yeah,
extra tight ends. And Rudolph is a good blocker, and I think he would get a lot more use out there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because as much as I agree with he would get use, Lamar Jackson really likes Andrews for the tight end position. He uses the other ones, but not as much as Andrews. And I feel like, Marquise Brown said during the season he wanted to be traded because he wasn't being used like he felt like he should be. And in all honesty, Marquise Brown, I feel like would be this perfect slot guy for us. He's got that 4.3 speed. I feel like that would be good too. So maybe, we ship Barr, our first, our third, next year's fourth, and then we get Marquise Brown and Orlando Brown. I'd be okay with that. Because then we shore up that slot position.
It was shored up, but we still only use 2 receivers on 99% of all plays.
We do, but you got to think of it this way. Thielen has had some problem with injuries the last couple of seasons. If he does, well, there's a starter right there anyways.
True. I mean, I take that. I don't think we need a receiver in any way.
I think we will. I think we'll sign another receiver here in free agency, and I think he'll probably be kind of that guy who hasn't gotten a lot of passing yards or receiving yards, but he's gotten enough. He's kind of, maybe been on this team for a while. It's been a couple seasons with this one, and then he's on the free agent market again. Probably won't be a big name, but he'll be a guy I feel like who's solid because they keep talking about the slot receiver position for the Vikings, so they're gonna, whether it's in the draft or free agency, they're gonna get one.
They are, and I think with Irv Smith, it kind of gives you that kind of hybrid. He's bigger, but he's also faster than any linebacker. And with the slot, obviously they have a corner on him, but
right.
I think there's a bigger mismatch having Smith on the field against a linebacker than a faster receiver.
Here's an idea. Since the now offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, Clint Kubiak, officially named, it took a while, but I think they were just kind of keeping it hush-hush till after the Super Bowl, kind of just waiting to make any announcement. Because that's kind of what the Vikings do. We don't make big moves before the Super Bowl. But he said this offense needs to evolve. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in place. What if we do this? We go more to the shotgun look. I think we still obviously go out of the I, single back, 3 tight end look. I think we still do plenty of that. But what if we go towards more of that shotgun run scheme? We have 2 receivers on one side, a receiver, and Smith in that slot position so that he can block.
I think we could work with that. I think a shotgun mentality for the Vikings would be very nice because it would give Cousins just a few more seconds.
Yeah, but
I think that'll make a lot of time with Cousins too.
And then you could stick Ham back there in the backfield as well. So, because I like Ham, I still think he should be used a lot more than he is. But
for sure,
that's just biased by me. So, there's a lot of things the Vikings could do to trade away and make space and get players in. Because we've talked about it, Smith, Rudolph, Reef, and Barr are all pieces that could be traded and could get a decent amount of composition back. Decent amount comp back. I honestly think Smith, Rudolph, and Barr could still get first round picks.
Rudolph, I don't think he'd get it first.
I think
Smith,
you could because if you get him on a team like the Eagles or the Patriots who love to hit their tight ends, he's going over 1,000 yards every single season.
I think they'll offer,
or the Niners even.
I think they'll offer seconds for all of them, and if we're honestly hard considering selling them,
but see,
we'll take the second then.
I don't think so because we're not the Texans. We don't give our guys away for free, as seen with Diggs. We didn't give him away for free. I have a hard time believing that we wouldn't take, because we won't take what we have second, third, next year's fourth, and Jimmy G for Kirk Cousins and one of our later round picks. Wouldn't take it. We wanted it first. And I think that for any other organization, that probably would have been enough comp to get out of a deal like that. Vikings don't want to. So I think we value that first round too much.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. I don't think we would take anything less, and I think that's all teams would offer is less than a first.
Well, I guess we have to wait and see. But again,
Yeah.
there's so many pieces that we can exchange and throw out and cut, and it's going to be a very interesting offseason here for the Vikings as it goes along.
Especially trying to get under the cap space.
Yeah.
At least we're not the Saints under $100 million cap. Oof, that's going to be rough.
Yeah, that's gonna
You're going to see a lot of players moving from
Yeah,
there.
that's going to hurt a lot for that team. They might have a couple seasons where they're kind of bottom of that NFC South, which is unfortunate, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, yeah, we're about, what, 12 million over, 14 million over, something like that. And Barr, Smith, Rudolph, and Reef are going to be the guys I think we look at to kind of say, okay, you need to take a cut or you're gone. Rudolph already said no to a cut, so I think he'll be the first cut, unfortunately.
Actually, rolling into that, I think the first cut will be Dan Bailey after signing our new kicker, Greg Joseph.
Yep. Yeah, Greg Joseph, a young kicker. He's only 26, spent some time with the Browns and the Titans. I think he's about 85% on his kicks. He hasn't done a lot of kicking, but he's done enough. He kicked a couple field goals in some playoff games, and he was perfect in those playoff games. So I'm interested to see. It sounds like he's got a stronger leg, maybe a little bit more accurate, and maybe you bring in a guy who is younger. He's kind of got that youth to him, and he comes in with just a different mentality. Maybe, I don't know. It seems to be the curse of any kicker goes in purple, and it's wide left.
As long as he doesn't miss 11 or 12 in a row and cost us a couple games,
Yeah, you're okay with it?
I guess. I don't know. I can't think we can get worse at this, but we can.
Yeah, we can.
We'll find a way. Don't worry.
I wouldn't be even surprised if we keep them both heading into training camp and it becomes a kicking duel again, and they just kind of go, whoever wins, wins.
Well, we can get out of Bailey's guaranteed money if we cut him before March 19th.
That's a good point. Yep. And yeah, so maybe we will. That'll be a very interesting point to talk on. The Vikings also hired a couple of, as we mentioned, Clint Kubiak will be the offensive coordinator. Carl Scott. So this one's kind of interesting to me. Carl Scott used to be the Bama DB coach. Now he's the Minnesota DB coach. So he was at Bama. Obviously, they've had plenty of first-round picks from the DBs there. This is interesting to me because he's going to be the DB coach. That's Zimmer's job. Is Zimmer trying to take steps back to say, okay, I have too much on my plate. I need to take a step back and focus on just these things?
Maybe taking a step back to focus on everything else he's got going on, because he's got a wildfire between the fans and Cousins. Mm-hmm. Anytime Cousins looks wrong, he gets just pooped on, and then the defense was just atrocious this year. Maybe he's taking a step back, and maybe we'll see a different scheme of defense a little bit.
That's what I'm thinking, with especially him basically giving the job to Carl Scott. It's going to be interesting for sure. And then we got Andrew Janoko. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. He'll be the new quarterbacks coach, taking over for Clint Kubiak. And then McCardle, he'll be the new receiver coach. So they're just kind of moving each other kind of up the ranks there a little bit. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. A very good, very interesting offseason for many teams. Many quarterbacks are going to be on the move. The Saints are going to lose a lot of players.
And like I said, I think I was talking to you about it. If you look at all the possible quarterback cuts and trades and moves, it's almost half the league is moving quarterbacks or off their quarterback. And the rumor mill around every other quarterback, too, makes it like up to 20 teams are moving off quarterbacks.
Right, because
it's wild.
Just recently, the Raiders said they have strong interest in Mariota trade. And I feel like that's a trade we would make, honestly. Send Kirk there and take Mariota here. Because I don't think Mariota was a fit in Tennessee from the get-go. I think he needs a system like Minnesota, where it's kind of run heavy, but then he can chuck it deep when he needs to. And I feel like that's the kind of quarterback the Vikings need, is someone who's mobile.
We do, because we have, as mentioned earlier, terrible offensive line play. And, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I feel like Kurt is more of a John Gruden-type quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a pocket passer, and that's what Gruden seems to like. Mm-hmm. He likes people that can move around a little bit here and there,
right,
but he seems like his main MO is that big old style pocket passer.
Right. Yeah, so it's no matter what, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. We'll keep you updated on everything that happens. We'll probably, again, we'll try and get an episode out Thursday, Fridays. We got more coming your way. We've got some high school sports to talk about. We got winter sports. We got hockey for both boys and girls, basketball for both boys and girls, and we also have wrestling to talk about. Of course, for Minnesota-wise, they have approved the state tournament, so that's going to be huge to talk on. We'll kind of get you, hopefully, a video on that sooner rather than later, and then we'll get to some more Minnesota pro sports and college sports as well. And now that football has officially ended, I think we'll focus less on football and more on other sports as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's two other sports going on. You got basketball. Not that we're super competitive in basketball, but there's a lot of other stuff going on there. The Wild, they're doing pretty good. They just had 4 games rescheduled, you said earlier?
4 games rescheduled and now 2 more postponed because of COVID inside their organization, so hopefully they'll be able to get that taken care of.
A little extra rest.
Yeah.
Pull out some more wins.
Yeah, there you go. But I think that just about does it, Brandon, unless you have anything to add.
No, I don't think I have anything to add here. I mean, season's over. It was disappointing for the Vikings.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can make some off-season moves that we don't normally ever make.
Right.
We could change the script here and make some big plays.
We could.
But it would be interesting to see, like you said, there's a lot of free agents. A lot of people be moving around this year.
It will be. So, again, it'll be very interesting. We'll keep you up to date on the latest. But that is the North Star Sports Show with ET&B. I'm Ethan, the ET part of this podcast.
I'm B, the Brandon part of this podcast.
And you've been listening and watching the North Star Sports Show with ET&B. Thanks for tuning in.